Excession, the fifth installment in Iain M. popular culture series, is a return to a full-length novel following the short story collection of its predecessor, The State of the Art, as categorized by Goodreads.com. At 500 pages, Excession is the longest novel in the series up to that point. Notably, it was published in 1996, marking a longer hiatus between its publication and the previous entries, all of which were published in quick succession between 1987 and 1991. As such, Excession serves as a pivotal point in the culture series, both chronologically and thematically, signaling the start of its middle section, but we will delve deeper into this later in the review. The novel Excession can only be categorized as soft science fiction, scoring even lower on the sci-fi Mohs scale than its predecessors. The scope of the literary universe is once more somewhere located in the middle of the scale, not necessarily due to new locations as such, but rather an expanded world building on a more abstract level, since even more details related to the inner workings of the culture are revealed to the reader throughout the novel. Similarly, the amount of original and novel ideas is on the habitually high level that you can expect from a culture series novel. Furthermore, the length of the dramatis personae is in the middle ranges with roughly half a dozen protagonists and numerous side characters. As a result, Excession sports one of the larger casts in the culture series. In terms of critical reception, it is noticeable that Excession received more attention during the awards season, as evidenced by 5 nominations and 2 awards, which is likely related to the fact that by that point, the previous culture novels already cemented Iain M. reputation as a prolific science fiction author. In particular, Excession was nominated for the James Tiptree Jr. Award in the Longlist category in 1996, for a British Fantasy Award for Best Novel in 1997, and for the Premio Ignotus para Mejor Novela Extranjera, or Best Foreign Novel, in 2005, the latter likely related to the Spanish translation of the novel. Moreover, it won the BSFA Award for Best Novel in 1996 and the Kurt Laßwitz Prize für Bestes ausländisches Werk or Best Foreign Work in 1998. The popular reception mirrors these formal accolades, where Excession scores a combined rating of 4.2 out of 5 stars based on thousands of reviews on Goodreads, Library Thing and Amazon. Currently, there are no news related to any adaptations of Excession. The plot of Excession takes place several hundred years after the Idiran culture war that was prominently featured in Consider Flebas, but it precedes the stories of use of weapons, the play of games, and the various short stories that make up the collection The State of the Art, at least those which can be placed on the timeline at all, by a couple of decades. But similar to the previous books, the chronology of the different culture novels is less important, since the various plots are quite independent from each other. The story described in Excession follows a number of different characters, including humans, or rather humanoids, and now more prominently various minds, as they investigate the appearance of an enigmatic object at the edge of culture space, which is known as the Excession. This object appears to be older than the universe itself, and it is impervious to any of the probes and measurements of the culture and other technologically advanced societies. Hence, this mysterious and mighty entity has the potential to change the balance of power in the galaxy. As the story unfolds, various factions become aware of the Excession and seek to gain control of it for their own purposes, leading to a tense and complex game of political maneuvering and intergalactic intrigue. Meanwhile, a group of ships and their crews are sent to investigate the Excession and uncover its secrets, leading to a series of unexpected and dangerous encounters. The novel Excession marks a shift in the culture series, since now the various minds, sentient artificial intelligences that control different types of starships, or even entire habitats, take the center stage in the story. Indeed, the minds all have their own unique characteristics and peculiarities. For example, one of the minds serving as a protagonist, the so-called sleeper service, is a general systems vehicle that is seen by other minds as having turned quote-unquote eccentric. The sleeper service's significant sentimental attachment and devotion to his one and only humanoid passenger is likely one reason for having received this categorization by the other minds. This shift of focus to the minds of the culture was not unnoticed, and when asked about it, Iain M. remarked that you can't escape the fact that humanity is a technological species, homo technophile, or whatever the Latin is. Technology is neither good or bad. It's up to the user. We can't escape what we are, which is a technological species. There is no way back. As a side note, the Latin binomial name would likely be Homo technologicus. We also learn that the minds, or rather influential groups of minds, are driving the overall direction of the culture. A fact that we could only infer in the previous stories of humanoid agents of special circumstances. There is also a humanoid-centered subplot that explores how complex and complicated intimate romantic relationships between long-lived biological beings who are able to change their biological sex can become. While this subplot is not as captivating as the overarching story, it is still reasonably entertaining and thought-provoking. Also, it is worth noting that Iain M. conceived this subplot decades before the topic of sex and gender ever reached the ideologically charged and incendiary divisiveness of today, which further underlines the originality of Banks' novels. Another aspect that makes Excession unique is the introduction of so-called outside context problems, or OCPs for short, which, and I quote from the novel here, most civilizations would encounter just once, and which they tended to encounter rather in the same way a sentence encountered a full stop. The appearance of the mighty Excession is obviously one of these OCPs, which the culture is unsure how to handle. Hence, these OCPs are similar to Nassim Taleb's Black Swan events, only that Nassim Taleb published his influential books Fooled by Randomness in 2001 and The Black Swan in 2007, years after Excession. But to be fair, Nassim Taleb takes a more rigorous scientific approach, exploring the consequences of OCPs, Black Swan events, or however you want to call these things. Overall, Excession is Iain M. Banks at his finest, and this novel is certainly a highlight of the Culture series, with an intriguing premise, a captivating plot, and interesting protagonists, although this largely applies to the various minds. The ending is a bit abrupt, if you ask me. However, it recontextualizes the self-perception of the culture as a highly developed, advanced society, thus giving the ending more significance than one might expect at first glance, leaving one with food for thought after finishing the book. It goes without saying that Excession is a must-read for anyone interested in the Culture series, as well as for anyone that loves thought-provoking and original science fiction. If you liked this video, you may also enjoy the other reviews and content on my channel. Feel free to leave a comment if you want to discuss the novels or if you want to suggest other books that I should review in the future. Please consider upvoting and subscribing, it is much appreciated. Thank you for watching, and until next time.